Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today got another build for you. This one is going to be an endgame version of the Beastmaster using the wolves turned into squirrels based around the helm Herald of the Scurry. You're going to have 10 squirrels. They're going to do massive damage. We have this one built to do 100% crit chance, so you're always going to be critting with them unless you take mods in the Monolith of Fate that reduce the critical strike chance of enemies. This build can do Tier 4 Julra. You're going to take single targets down really quick. In this video and at this point and stage with the build, I'm sub 1 minute on Tier 4 Julra. We are also at 500 corruption on 2 different timelines, and the bosses just melt when you take them on. You have decent survivability with yourself. The squirrels have really good survivability, and with our weapon we have increased revive time, so if they do stand in a dot for too long and that does end up killing them, you can revive them really quick with our two-handed weapon that has increased revive speed for them. At the same time, they just don't die very often. You're pretty tanky. You have a Warcry that gives you 1 second of immunity. Every time Warcry goes off, you're also going to be healed to maximum health thanks to our healing effectiveness that we've stacked. And then of course you're invincible while lunging. So as long as you lunge in, you're not going to take any damage until you land. You use Warcry, you use Swipe. When you use Swipe, it's going to proc the Howl for your minions, which is really nice, so they'll have 100% uptime of that, just boosting their damage, their attack speed, their crit chance, all of it. So it allows you just to kind of cruise through. You lunge, you swipe, and you continue on. You'll have the Totem, Frenzy Totem active to give them even more base damage, crit chance, which is really nice along with their attack speed. And basically you just have a bunch of rabid squirrels that go around attacking super fast and hitting super hard. So let's go ahead and jump in and I'll tell you exactly how this build works. For skills, I'm running Summon Wolf, Swipe, Fury Leap, Warcry, and Summon Frenzy Totem. For the Summon Wolf, which we have +2 levels to, we have 2 in Savage Hunters, 5 in Legendary Bite for that more melee crit chance and more melee damage, which is huge for them. 3 points in Tundra Stalkers, which also gives them the Cold Tag, which will come in helpful for extra crit chance and damage out of Warcry. 1 point in Frozen Fangs so that they have Ice Bite. While this won't be with every attack, the nice thing about it is it gives them some AoE, which is nice for clearing. 1 point in Winterborn, 1 point in Pack Hunters for the +1 maximum companion. 1 point in Victory Howl, 4 points in On the Hunt for more attack and move speed, 4 points in Howl of the Might. This is probably the most important one because this is tripled, so they get 120% more damage and dodge rating if you've howled recently, and we're going to be howling all the time every time that we swipe, or they have a chance on kill, so they'll almost always have that up. Then for Swipe, we got 4 points in Way of the Hunt, 5 points in Wingardium Reach, 1 point in Claws of the Bear, 1 point in Lupine Attunement for the Spirit Wolves, which is nice because you get 10 of them from all 10 of your squirrels, so it's going to allow you to do a ton of damage on single target when you swipe and hit a target and have your squirrels nearby. 1 point in Primal Resonance so that the nearest companion ability is used on hit, which they're all squirrels, which means that they're going to howl, which is really nice, so they always get that 120% more damage whenever you're using Swipe. 3 points in Aspect of the Panther, and then 3 points in Wild Calling for another 45% chance of the Spirit Wolves. I haven't actually tested to see if you actually can get a double proc of them, so I'm not 100% sure on that, but that is what we're going for. The reason you can't really tell is because there's just so many of them, and it's really hard to tell if it's actually proccing twice or not. Then for Fury Leap, we're using this for invulnerability while we are leaping. It's our movement skill, and then on top of it, it's going to give a boost of damage to our squirrels as well as cleanse our ailments. So we've got 4 points in Panther Strike to reduce that cooldown, 1 point in Herald's Protection so we are immune while leaping, 4 points in Crater for increased area, 1 point in Savage Impact. These 5 points don't really matter, we're not doing too much damage with Fury Leap itself. 5 points in Warrior's Entrance for that global melee damage, which is huge. So when you land, you're giving plus 15 melee damage to all your squirrels for 3 seconds, which is really nice. 1 point in Pack Leader so the companions will leap with you. 1 point in Frenzied Onslaught so that they also gain a Frenzy for 3 seconds when you land, so they get more base damage and they get Frenzy. 2 points in Wings of Endurance to restore some health for us and the minions every time we land, and then the Battle Bloom to cleanse ailments when we land, which is really nice. If you give the enemies Armor Shredder slow on hit, every time that you're leaping, which is every few seconds, you can cleanse all of that off. For Warcry, we've got 1 point in Staggering War, 1 point in Kinetic Scream, 2 points in Eviscerating Howl, and 1 point in Shallow Breath. The reason for this is for that cooldown, so that we can get 100% uptime of some of our buffs and be immune more often. So this will reduce that cooldown from 10 seconds down under 5, which is really nice for us. We have 1 point in Juggernaut, so we are invincible for 1 second after Warcry. We have a 4-second cooldown right now, so that means 25% of the time we're basically invincible, which is really nice. Really going to save you from a lot of one-shot mechanics from the bosses. Then we've got 2 points in Deep War and 3 points in Battlecry for 75% increased crit. And then because our squirrels do have the cold tag, we took Jormungand's Wrath to convert it to cold, so they also get the 2 points of Frostguard and give them 100% increased cold damage. That's not going to be a straight up 100% increased damage for them because only so much of their base is cold, but it's a little bit more. But the big one, Bringer of Winter, gives them another 100% crit chance, as well as they will chill enemies, which is really nice. And then we've got 3 points in Breath of Edera, so that we are healed for 300 health every time we use it, which scales with healing effectiveness, which we have just over 300% on this. So I'm actually healed for about 1,000 health when I use it. If I'm at low life, I'm healed for double that, which will be about 2,000, which is really, really nice. So you basically can get all of your life back every time you use it. 1 point in Invigorate, so it's also healing your allies, which will be all the squirrels. And 1 point in Purging Shout to cleanse ailments as well. Then for Summon Frenzy Totem, which we're using as a pure straight buff, it's going to give crit chance, base damage, and a lot of attack speed to our squirrels. We've got 3 points of Rapidity for increased Frenzy effect, 5 points in Best Style Frenzy for that 20 flat melee physical damage for them, 5 points in Lead the Pack, so every time that we howl while Frenzy Totem is active, which will be all of the time, and every time we swipe we howl, they get 250% increased critical strike chance, which is why we can reach 100% crit with them, because we have a lot of base and we have a lot of increased. 3 points Revitalizing Totem, 1 point in Symbol of Haste, 1 point in Symbol of Selflessness, and 2 points in Warding Totem, all to give some really good buffs to our squirrels to help them stay alive and do more damage while attacking really, really fast. For passives, we've got 6 points in Gift of the Wilderness, 1 point in Primal Strength, 5 points in Hunter's Restoration, 3 points in Survival of the Pack, 5 points in Hunter's Emanation, which is really nice, so when we do that swipe, which we're doing quite often, we're also going to give minions more damage, or increased damage. 5 points in Berserker, so we take less damage when we are at low life, just an extra precaution, since we can be a bit squished at higher corruption. For Druid, we got 7 points, all 7 into Shitness Plating for that endurance and armor, and then 79 points into our Master Beastmaster class, with 8 points in 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐸 Strength, 1 point in Savagery, 1 point in Ambush, 1 point in Rending Maul, 1 point in Hunters of the Deep, so we get Aspect of the Shark, and we give it to our squirrels. 5 points in Boar Heart, and 5 points in Porcine Constitution for that 30% damage reduction. And when we get hit by a melee attack, it will proc, or when we do a melee attack, which we do with Swipe and with Fury Leap, we have a chance to proc it as well, so 2 points into Boar Heart. 8 points in the Chase, 5 points in Axe and Claw, 6 points in Life of the Wilderness, 4 points in Cry of the Lynx, and because when we swipe it makes these squirrels howl, that also procs Aspect of the Lynx, so we can have 100% uptime of this buff, which gives them another 100% critical strike chance, as well as some crit multi, and then with every crit they do, they're leeching a big portion of that damage as health back. So 6 points in Serrated Claws, and then 5 points in Critical Bite, so they get 15% of that damage back. So they're hitting really hard, they have 100% crit with all that uptime, and then they're leeching a big portion of that. That's where they get their huge amount of survivability from. Then we've got 10 points in Viper Fangs for that 50% increased melee attack. The poison on hit isn't a big thing, the damage over time we don't care about either, but giving your companions 50% increased melee attack speed is huge for them. And then the last 10 points in Ancient Might for that minion melee physical damage. For the character sheet, you can see we're just over 3,000 health. We're still working on a couple of resistance. We're missing just a little bit of fire, lightning, and physical, but we're capped on the rest. We do have some armor, although I would like to build into more. Still need to get better blessings, but we would like to be at least 40% plus on the armor for damage reduction, so still working towards that. For defense, we are capped out on endurance and critical strike avoidance. For our gearing and our blessings, as you can see here, we do have a few uniques on. One that you will definitely need is the Herald of the Scurry. This is going to convert the wolves into squirrels, and also where we get our plus levels to the Summon Wolf. It's not absolutely needed to have LP, but LP will help you. But this unique in general is required in order to get the squirrels, so it is mandatory in that sense, but you can play the build as wolves, it's just not as effective. The Fang gives us a ton of melee physical damage for minions, as well as makes it so your minions cannot be stunned. It also lets you summon all your wolves up to the maximum number, giving you some health and resistance as well. This one is not mandatory, you can play without it, however it is a big damage boost. It does give your minions that ability not to be stunned, which is really helpful for them. So getting one of these with LP obviously would be really good as well, but you can use a regular one and then inside the wolf tree summon up to your limit on the right side, since we've built almost all the way over to it anyways. Then I also have 𝐒𝐻𝐢𝐦𝐦𝐷𝐍𝐈. The reason that I'm using this is for the companion revive range and speed. We also get some health every time a companion does a hit. The strength gives us increased armor, which is nice. And the only reason that I actually put this on is because we got a 4 LP. So if we were using an exalted item that had 4 items anyways, why not throw them on? So we have increased minion melee damage and also reduced damage taken from critical strikes. If I would have got 100%, I wouldn't worry about getting critical strike avoidance on anything, but I have 100% critical strike avoidance until I can get a little bit more of that reduced damage somewhere else on another piece of gear, like the belt per se, or on an LP helm, and then we can make that transfer to get rid of all of our CSA and switch. But for now, this is what I've got. We also have the Ribbons of Blood, again not mandatory, but this gives more basic melee physical damage for your minions. It makes it so they also can't be crit. It gives them a bunch more leech, and then it also gives you a big percentage of increased health. Getting this with LP would be really nice, but not mandatory. And then the last one, I have the Advent of the Erase, and that's just because I got tier 7 move speed on it. It had minion dodge rating. It also came with health and physical resist, and it's nice to get haste every once in a while when you make a kill or when your minions make a kill. For everything else, you're just going for as much health and resistances as you can get. And then on the chest, this is where you're getting that added minion melee crit chance, which is a pretty rare fix, and I got really lucky getting a tier 7 roll, which is why all the other stats are really horrible. I didn't have a whole lot of room to mess around with it. You don't need to have tier 7, tier 5 is plenty to get it done, but I've yet to find a piece of gear that is better that has tier 5 on it, so we're still rocking this. It would be nice instead of poison resistance, stun avoidance, to obviously have a ton more health. For idols, basically I got my critical strike avoidance here along with a ton of health, but you can do other things like get your elemental resist, you can get minion melee speed, you can get healing effectiveness, so Warcry heals you for more. There's a ton of options, there's nothing that's really mandatory for it. You can also get increased effective aspect of the links if you want for more crit chance and crit multi, and leech for your companions. And then for blessings, there's really no mandatory blessings. If you're working towards getting your critical strike avoidance, you're definitely going to want that from the Reign of Dragons timeline, and then also you get increased minion damage. Eventually I'm going to change this endurance threshold to increased armor. I may even get rid of the minion damage for flat armor just for more survivability, but really there's nothing that's mandatory, so feel free to grab whichever blessings just look the best for you. Go defensive with them if you need it. Again, you can get the minion damage on Spirits of Fire, however I would almost prefer just getting the flat armor. I'll probably rerun it later to get that just for a bit more survivability. And for how to play this build, it's really simple. I like to have Frenzy Totem and Warcry on autocast just so that they're always going off. You can lunge in. When you lunge in, it's going to give them that nice little boost of base damage. You can see they don't have 100% crit yet, but as soon as I throw down a Totem and then I use Swipe, you're going to see they go to 100% crit because they have aspect to the links. Then with the Totem, and because when we use Swipe they howled, they get that 250% increase, so suddenly they go from not having 100% to 100%. So Totem's out, make sure you're Warcrying, throw in a Swipe, and then you can see that they just go nuts with that 100% crit, which is huge. And when you lunge in, even a little bit more damage, and voila, you can see they're doing anywhere from 50 to 100k crits with every hit they do when they're fully buffed, which is huge. But that's going to be it. I'm going to leave you guys with some gameplay. Let me know how you like the build in the comments below, and as always, stay safe.